Okay, your notes today are going to be basically some formulas that I'm going to go over. So again, I'm going to try to give you some problems. You'll want to hit stop and play, rewind a few times so you make sure that you have these formulas down. Um, Again, we're going in our spiral notebook. The main, one of the first things I want to remind you about is how to find the average. And the average sometimes is talked about the mean. So in your notes, remind yourself how to find the average. You take all your numbers, add them up, and then you divide by how many numbers that you have. So as far as vocab goes, mean means average, and one of the simplest problems you might have on the ACT is how to find the average, or again mean, of 5 scores. So this is definitely a calculator problem. So get your calculator out, verify that you get the same answer as I do. But we want to add up all the scores. And on the TI, if we just add up all the scores all in one row, we can add these all up. You have to hit enter and then divide by 5. You'll get the average. So that's kind of an easy example. The harder example and the example that I've seen on the ACT is like example 2. So again, you want to hit pause, write out example 2 if you don't have it. But this example says find the 5th score if the average of 5 scores is 45 and the first 4 scores are 56. So a lot of times what students do when they see this problem is they see the average and they think that this is a add these up and divide by something. But let's just kind of point out what we're trying to find here. We're trying to find that we have a 5th score here. So if I had all these scores and I added a 5th score, I need a total such that the total divided by 5 will equal 45. So what I need is I need this sum so that I know how many points do I need, that if I take that sum and divide it by 45, I'll get 5. So I need this total first off. So the first thing that I would do is I would multiply 5 times 45. And again, you can use your calculator. You'll get a 225 here. And now what I want to do is I want to find out the total that I need is 225, and I have all of these scores except for the 5th score. So basically, again, let's use our calculator. So we know that we have how many points so far? We know that we have 56 and a 67 and a 23 and a 33. We know we have 179, but we need 225. So if we take 225 and we subtract off the 179, then we must need, as our 5th score, we must need a 46. So that problem's a little bit worded weird, and I think sometimes when students see the average, they get a little confused. They want to do division, but actually we're doing a multiply problem first. The second formula that you'll need for this lesson is a probability formula. And good news is on the ACT, the probability problems are very easy on the ACT. And we only need one little formula for probability. And again, the formula that you'll want to copy down in your notes is probability equals the number of successes. Sometimes I'll just put an S over the total number of possibilities. Okay, so probability can come to us as a fraction. You might see it as a decimal, and you might also see it as a percent. But remember, in skill 1, we went over on how we find a fraction into a decimal and then into a percent. So you just look at the multiple choice answers and see which ones you have to do. But the first type of probability is to just get the fraction. Okay, so read the first word problem here. We have the probability of picking a 10 of clubs out of a standard deck of cards. So we have probability is a success, and a success in this case is picking a 10 of clubs. So the ACT sometimes will have deck of cards questions, and you need to know that there's 52 cards in a deck. There's 4 suits, hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs, and there's 13 of each of those. So if you don't know that, include those in your notes. So the bottom number is going to be a 52 in this case. The top number is the success, and what we want to do is look at how many ways can we get a 10 of clubs. Well, there's only one 10 of clubs in the deck of cards, so our probability will be 1/52. Sometimes probability comes to us in a word problem, and it deals with socks or candies, and the formula is not hard. Again, we'll use the same formula, and that formula is probability equals success over total. And we'll just have to be a careful reader of what do I mean by a success and what do I mean by total. So example 2 in probability is, what is the probability of picking a white sock out of a box of black, white, and red socks? So we want the probability of picking a white sock, so that would go in our numerator, and the total number of socks would go in the denominator. So let's figure out how many total socks I have. So in this case, I would have 9 and 8, so I'd have 17 total socks. And again, we want to find the probability of getting a white sock. Since there are 4 white socks, we would put a 4 in the top. So just be real careful with the probability problems. Sometimes they'll put in a word like not, and it becomes a word problem, not really a math problem. And the last example in lesson 2 of a formula that you're going to need is to find the formula of a percent problem. And again, these word problems, you just need a formula of how to find the percent. And these are word problems. They're pretty easy, but sometimes they come to us a little wordy. So the formula is not difficult. To find the percent of something, you put the amount of increase or decrease in the numerator, how much over the original. Okay. Now again, this is going to be a decimal, or this is going to be a fraction, and then you're going to have to change that to a decimal, and then finally, if it asks us for a percent, we're going to have to move it over 2 places and get the percent. Okay, so that's not the hardest part. The hardest part is getting the fraction. So I have 3 examples here, and again, you'll probably want to hit stop, play, rewind, read these word problems, see if you can come up with the fraction first, and then we'll talk about how to find the percent. So we all have seen the example of gas going up and down over the years, but I was surprised to see that in example 3, gas has gone up since 2003. Gas only cost $1.41 in 2003, and we want to know what is the percent, obviously, of the increase if gas costs $3.25 today. So our first instinct is to take $1.41 and divide it by 324, but that first instinct is incorrect. So again, this is where you'll copy down your formulas so that you know exactly what to punch in. But what you want to do on your formula here, it's not the amount divided by something else, but what the formula is how much we increased divided by the original. So the first thing we have to do is to see how much we have increased. Okay, so we don't want to put $1.41 in the top. What we want to do is put how much we increased, and it's actually we've increased $1.81, so our fraction value is $1.81 divided by my original, and the original here is $1.41. So to find the increase, it's bad, we know that. What is it exactly? Decimal wise, it is 1.297. Let's round this off to 1.3. But remember, this is a decimal, and we're asked to find the percent. So we're going to have to move it over 2 places, which would be that we've actually increased 130% over this time period. So in your notes, really highlight this. It's a very popular problem on the ACT, and it's one that students miss quite frequently. An increase and a decrease works the same way. We put the amount that we've increased or decreased in the numerator, and we put the original on the bottom. So you might remember a few years ago we switched sports from seasons, and when we switched those, our popularity kind of went down. But here we want to find what percent of decrease there was in sports participation from 1,000 to 750. So we started, our original was 1,000, so we put that in the bottom. And in the top, we put the amount that we decreased. So we decreased 250 students. So punch this out. You'll get negative 0.25. Again, if it asks us for a percent, that would be a 25% decrease. Just a straight out percentage problem would be one that you're familiar with, that if you score 15 points out of 18 on your math quiz, what percent is that? If you get 15 out of 18 correct, that's just a straight punch. 15 out of 15 divided by 18 is 0.833. What percent is that? Again, move it over 2 places, look at your multiple choice, and you should be good to go. So I'd like you to work through skill 2. If you need to finish up problems on skill 1, do that. Please don't hesitate to ask some questions, and play this video over again if you need to copy down the word problems.